Hey everyone, so today I wanted to talk to you about how I use tech and paper for my planning. So some of you might have caught on, I don't know, a few months ago, I was talking about how I was testing out digital planning in my iPad, and I did do that actually for several weeks because I forget what was going on. I think that's the time where lots of crazy stuff was happening with us moving and stuff like that. And I was just trying to do it like quick and dirty, you know, just like nothing cute, just lists and stuff like that. So I was doing it in my iPad, and I ended up coming back to a paper planner because I don't know, like I think it has to do with like those people who like to read books, like real paper books, versus those who like to read books on their iPads or Kindles and stuff like that. It's kind of like, you know, you have your reasons. And for me, I do read my books on my iPad, but when it comes to planning, it wasn't the same. I didn't feel as on top of things as I do when I use my paper planner. But with this whole experiment with the digital planning, there were certain things that I really loved about it, like how easy it was to just move things around on a page without having to erase it or, you know, white it out or whatever, and just be able to brainstorm and move your notes around. You can't really do that like in a paper planner without having to keep erasing and stuff like that. So what I started doing is doing both. So I'm going to show you like just a brief overview, or sort of brief overview of how I'm doing my planning in both of these things, like fully, to the point where I carry both of these around with me wherever I go because I use both of them. So I'll start off. So basically what this video is about is how I use tech and paper together to work together in my planning system. So first of all, of course, I think a lot of us use an electronic calendar. I do use, and so this is the first time I'm filming, side note, this is the first time I'm filming like like from my iPad, so hopefully it turns out okay without too much of a glare. I'll try to like hold it at an angle, but basically I think most of us have some kind of electronic calendar, Outlook or whatever. I use Google Calendar. So on my Google Calendar, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. On my Google Calendar, anytime, of course, any event, you know, birthday, wedding, party, gathering, play date, anything like that, doctor's appointments, meetings, I put it in here first. That's the first thing I do. I put it in here. I also put anything that's due, like if there's some kind of project due for myself or for my husband or for my kids, I put that on here. Like for my husband, if I need to be part of that, but not his own projects. But like my girls' school projects and stuff like that, I put it in here. So everything, this is like everything calendar, due date related goes here in my Google Calendar. And then the other thing I use my iPad for is I use this app here called Notability, and I believe it's like $9.99 or something like that from the App Store. And so I use this for all my pre-planning, my note-taking, and brainstorming and stuff like that. So for example, I'll give you a little tour through here. Zoom in a bit. So here you can see that I have goals, monthly, weekly, daily. These are all my processes. Like, so in the beginning of the year, I write down my goals. So I write my top priorities and then the goal I have under those priorities. Here I left this blank because that's a little personal, so I erased that, but there's usually a figure there. And then I have, those of you who've been following me for a while know about this system, but I have my top 3 goals, and then I have daily, weekly, and monthly steps to accomplish those goals. So I'll go over this more in detail in a future video where I talk about goal setting, but basically I write that all there. I have also a bucket list here. And so this all goes under my goals. And then I have monthly planning, so things that I do each month. So whenever I go and plan my month, like in one of my next videos, I'll show you how I plan for November. I follow this process here. So I always keep in mind that I have these top 3 priorities that actually I just transferred over from my goals list. And so I have my monthly goals, I have these tasks. So every month I do like these things, you know, set up my calendar, personal calendar, health calendar, school calendar, shop calendar, content calendar, and all that. So all this stuff is what I do on a monthly basis. So I just have it there. And then down here, I just have like an overview of what I do each month. Like what for week 1, this is all the stuff I do. For week 2, this is all the stuff I do. Like I said, I'll go into this more in detail later. I'm just trying to show you how I use this as kind of like the pre-planning. Down here I have like themes for each month. I just started this, so I'm filling it in. That's why it's a lot of it's blank. But then even down here I have celebrations for me and my family. So like if I'm gonna plan for November, then I'll go here to the November box and know that these are some things I had to think about when planning for the month. So I have the same thing for my week process. I have like the goals and what I have to do for that week, like pull stuff from these calendars. And then I have an overview of what I do each day of the week, and then just a breakdown. So if up here I say I had to do admin, then down here these are the things I had to do for admin. I'm going through this kind of quickly because, like I said, I'm gonna go into details with this more later, but for now I'm just trying to show you the different things I have here on my iPad. So then here my daily like pre-planning, my daily goals, my daily tasks. Sorry if it keeps getting out of focus. My ideal schedule. So these are, I call it my master plan, and these are the things that I just do on a yearly, monthly, weekly, and daily basis. And then here is my planner where I actually do my pre-planning. So I have my month, week, day calendars. So when I plan my month, when I plan my week, when I plan my day, and then I have personal, shop, and content. And these all correspond to all my tabs here. Oh, you can see it here. Let me move this out of the way. So you can see my month, week, day. Sorry, I'm doing this upside down. Personal, shop, and content. So all of that corresponds to these. So this is what I use to pre-plan before I plan in my actual planner. And I know to some of you that might seem like double work, but for me, I really like doing that because it saves me from having to erase or scratch out or cover up any changes or mistakes in here, because I do it all here with my Apple Pencil, so I just can easily move things around and get it the way I want it to be before I transfer it in here. And honestly, like I said, it seems to some people, it might seem like a lot of work, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really quick. So, you know, we all do it our own way. And then so this is like my master plan, this is my pre-planning, and then down here are my notes. So I have different notes for personal, like these are basically like lists, like ideas for dates, some health things I want to talk to the doctor about, some just miscellaneous information, meal ideas, movies and books, and like podcasts I want to listen to. And then memory keeping, I just started putting this in here, so as things come up I just jot it down real quick, and then I'll transfer it over to my memory keeping journal. And then I have notes on the business, so just general notes about taxes and stuff, and then branding stuff, costs, coupon codes, an overview, like kind of like a business plan, but very loosely called a business plan, and then projects that I have to do, you know, coming up at some point. And then for this is like for the business as a whole, and then for the shop itself, for TPS, I have these kind of notes, like, oh, so these are ideas for like journaling cards, inserts, miscellaneous product, notepads, product, like all the product I want to carry in the shop at some point, sticker ideas, sticky note ideas, vellum ideas. So just notes, lists, brainstorming and stuff like that. And then same thing for content. I have stuff, ideas for blog, podcasts, polls, and videos. Podcast is something that I'll talk to you guys about later. I don't know if I'm even going to do that, but it's just something on my maybe list that I keep here. And then here I have templates, which basically are these kind of things. I just made them and I can copy and paste them wherever I want. And they're so easy to make. So this is what I was doing when I was first playing around with digital planning a couple months ago. I built all these little templates for myself. So it's kind of like bullet journaling because I'm just making my own with this pencil. I didn't download any like templates from anybody, but like if you can see, if you draw like any kind of crooked line, but if you hold it, it'll make it straight, or kind of, you could move it anywhere. You can draw like a box, oops, or that kind of shape. Pentagon, is that? Like if you draw a square like this, it'll make it into a straight square and stuff like that. So I really liked playing around with it a lot. So I made all these little templates for myself to use. So yeah, that's how I use it. So I don't use these as often anymore because I'm not doing digital planning as in depth as I was. But I keep it there just in case. But like I said, I mainly use it for my planning processes, my pre-planning, and notes and brainstorming. So another thing, so let me just see what I have here. Personal, like meal ideas. So what I was talking about, moving things around. So say, you know, I wanted to move some of this text somewhere. All I have to do is circle it and then move it anywhere I want on the page. And that's just what I really loved about it. It's just so easy to move stuff around when you're note taking and brainstorming, especially when you're brainstorming, you're like all over the place, but then you want to organize it in a, once you're like filling everything out and then you want to organize it more nicer, then you can change it around. You could change this highlight from pink to a gray color, you know, so easily like that. So that's what I really like about Notability, or in like digital planning. So that's what I use my iPad for digital planning. And then of course I mentioned in other videos that then of course I have my planner, and what I have in here, so what I think about it, the way I think about it is this is like pre-planning, notes, lists, brainstorming kind of stuff. And then this, my planner, let me zoom out a bit, is like current working projects, only current projects. So if I'm like making a list about meals and, you know, I think about, oh, I want to try this recipe, I write it in my iPad. I don't write it here because that's just like for a list. It's not like a current project. So in here I just have my current projects, and some of you guys might have seen this already, but I'll just quickly, for those of you who haven't, basically my current projects are my monthly stuff. Like I have a month at a glance of like my goals, steps for my goals are here, which I'll go into more detail in a video very soon. So month, and then my weekly layout, which is blank right now because I'm about to plan my week today. But I have my weekly calendar, and then I have my, let me show a blank one, my daily calendar here. So yeah, month, week, day, and then my current open projects here. So health kind of projects, my girls' school, the shop, and content. So these are all current stuff for this current month, and that's all I keep in here. So the two other things I wanted to talk about how I integrate technology into my planning is back on the iPad or my iPhone is I use the reminders. So after I plan out my day, each evening or morning, depending on when I plan my day, if there's something in the schedule like an appointment, then I put a reminder here. So I do have some reminders here already. I have homework. It's just because my daughters do homework at the same time every night, but sometimes I get so caught up in work or whatever that, you know, they're supposed to start at 5. Next thing I know, it's like 5:45, and then our whole night schedule gets messed up. So I just have a little reminder about that. And also the same concept with minimum day. I get caught up in work, so this is a reminder. Hey, you got to pick them up early. Just some reminders about my girls' stuff, like remember to bring the library books, the music binder, remember they have choir practice, remember to pack the homework that's due for this week, remember check the communications envelope from school and stuff. So these are regular each week, but then I also add to it. So let's say I'm planning my day, it's like Sunday morning, and today I have a meeting at 10 a.m. I'll put it here in my reminders. So number 1, it will show up on my watch because I put reminders here in this middle section of my watch. So whatever's the next reminder will pop up here. So I put that a reminder here, 10 a.m. appointment. So it'll show up on my watch, but it'll also give me a reminder, like it'll ping me. I forget how far in advance, like 15 minutes in advance. And those are just to be an extra security that I don't forget about these things, especially the appointments or things that I have to bring or get and stuff like that. So I integrate reminders. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is how I do brain dumps. So brain dump, I do use a couple different brain dumps. So I use one paper brain dump and one digital brain dump. Some of the podcasts I listened to before said you should always keep one brain dump as much as possible. I keep 2 just because it depends, like if I'm in the car or if I'm at home, where it depends where I'm at, where I can write it. But my first brain dump is here in my daily pages. So I do use a 2 days or 2 pages per day kind of spread in my planner, and this is my first brain dump. So if I'm just sitting, if I'm checking email and I gotta remember, I just got an email from my daughter's teacher that don't forget to, you know, the gift wrap fundraiser stuff is due tomorrow. I'll write it down here, not with my Apple Pencil, I'll write it with my pen, but I'll write it down here. And then at the end of the day, when I empty my inbox, I'll move that wherever it needs to go. So this is my paper inbox. And then I also have my electronic brain dump, which I keep in Notability as well. So if I go into my planner notebook and then I have this note called brain dump, I have the same thing, the same concept as my paper planner, where I just, as things come up, I write it here before I schedule it in as a to-do, you know, on some week, or I add it to some other list. But this is where I brain dump everything. But what is really cool that I wanted to show you guys is, let's say I go to this website. So I'm on this website here, Freshly. I've been kind of checking it out to see if it's something we want to do, which I don't think we will, because whatever. But anyways, let's say, you know, I don't have time to look through this right now, but I wanted to remind myself to look through it later. Then all I do is screenshot this page and then click on the little screenshot, and then I can send it to my brain dump. So if I click this little arrow up here and then I click send it to Notability, and then you can create a new note or you can add it to existing note. Then I can choose brain dump, and then next, and then import, and then it sends it to there. So then when I go back to Notability, there it is in my brain dump. So if you can see here, planner, brain dump, there's the brain dump I just showed you, and then it just imported, and I can move this up, move it wherever. It imported this screenshot to remind me that I wanted to look into this meal service. So I really think that's cool, because a lot of times when I'm on Instagram and I see some things that you guys recommend, or you know, I'm browsing the internet and I see something that I want to look into, but I don't have time at that moment, all I do is screenshot it and import it, send it to my brain dump, and then it's right here. So what I do is every night or at some point each day, I try to empty this brain dump. So I take all this stuff and I put it in my to-do list, like personal to-do list, or schedule it in like on Tuesday this week, I'm gonna look into this meal service or whatever. So I really think that's cool to have, you know, all my brain dump in 2 places that I check every day and then process those inboxes. And I like that feature of it for the, you know, tech side. So yeah, I think that's it. That's all my planning system as far as how I integrate tech and paper. And I don't know, I really love it a lot. I'm really excited. I hope you guys, you know, maybe found some tips for your own planning. Maybe you can incorporate some digital. Maybe you already do and you have tips to share them in the comments below so we can all learn from you. But I just wanted to share how I do it. I really love this system a lot. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments, questions down below, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.